Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm glad to see the support and feedback you guys gave me on my last video. Some of you guys said that the music was too loud and my voice was too quiet, so I've changed the volumes. And also, I decided to switch from using Clipchamp to DaVinci Resolve. So, give me any feedback on if this is working better or worse. So, in this video, we're going to be trying to figure out what are Red and Blue actually fighting for. I'm going to be going through each map and trying to see why are they fighting to conquer this territory. So, buckle up and enjoy. Alright, starting off with altitude. I'd say they're probably doing this for money, because as you can see, there are ski lifts and gondolas, so that means during the winter, they could turn this place into a ski resort and even use the lodge down there. Then, during the summer, they could use the lake and let people swim in it and use that lodge for other purposes. Now onto brew. I'd say probably for territory, resources, and money. The brewery can make them lots of money by selling the drinks, and there's a whole town past it, which would give a good advantage to the team who owns it. The forest can also supply them with some wood. Alright, now onto cargo. Mainly resources. Because, number one, they'll get a cargo ship, and they'll get all the materials in the shipping containers. Those containers probably contain arms and munitions. Now, onto conifer. This seems to be some sort of park, and also there is a big forest which can supply them with wood. Now, Dust Bowl. This is mainly just territory. There's literally nothing of value here except for some thrown together shacks and this bomb. And also, there may be coal, as there's a lot of logos for this coal company. Now, Egypt. Literally just territory. There's nothing of value here, except for sand. Now, Forteza. Still mainly territory, however there are way more things of value here than there were in Egypt. Now, Fulgar. Territory and resources. This could be used as a base to stockpile weapons and ammo. It also has communication satellites and other gizmos. Since it's hidden away in a jungle, it'd be a pretty good base. Now, Gorge. Territory and resources. Again, large base, communication devices and computers. Not too many resources, however, there are some nice, necessary novelty knickknacks placed around here. So, yeah. Now on Gravel Pit. Home to the beautiful skyboxes. There's not too much except gravel. However, I have a theory. In the TF2 universe,
gravel is actually the most useful thing in the whole world. And that's why here is basically as useful as gold.
So that's my theory. So yeah. Alright, now we're on to Harp. I'd say this is probably for the territory and resources. Because if Blue gets this base, that means we'll have another base to stockpile weapons and ammo. And also, this base is hidden out in the Arctic. And it has communication devices, so it can be another point to have their army ready. Alright, now we're on Hadal. I'd say this is probably so they can have the underwater base, because I mean, that's pretty cool. And also here they can make their own cocaine, so yeah. Alright, now Hardwood. I'd say Blue's goal here isn't so they can take over this territory. I think it's so they can destroy it and stop Red from using these railways to transport their goods. Alright, now we're on to Junction. This seems to be a Red-operated base, so it's kind of weird why there's a Blue train here. So what I think happens is Blue comes in on the train so that they can try and sabotage Red's base. They can download Red's information off of the computers, and then they can also try and stop Red from transporting these bombs. Alright, now we're on Mercenary Park. I don't think they're trying to fight to conquer the territory. I think they're fighting to see which team is stronger and make Sack and Hallie TF2 happy. Alright, now we're on to Moss Rock. So what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to take over this territory for the resources. If they can kill Red and destroy their base, then they can set up their own thing here, because I thought they're gonna want to use these damaged, destroyed, really not very durable like wooden buildings. And then after they do that, they can get all the resources and exotic meats from this jungle. Now we're on to Mountain Lab, one of the first maps I ever played on TF2. I'd say they're doing this so that they can take over the base, get the information off the computers, and also they can get all the resources inside of these boxes around the map. Alright, now we're on to Overgrown. I'd say this is one of the more high-stakes battles they're doing, as this is for an entire town, which has communication devices, power lines, actual people, and railway infrastructure. So I'd say this is for the territory, resources, and money, because people will live there, and they will have jobs, and they'll make stuff, and they can also have a whole economy, because towns are very valuable to have. Alright, now we're on to Snowplow. Here it seems like Blue's base has been hit by some sort of bomb or something. So Blue's goal is one thing, and one thing only: to run this train into Red's town, hit its explosive barrel thingies, and then have the whole town explode. Also, side note, I find it pretty funny that the announcer calls the car hanging from the rope the device, as if it was some sort of gizmo gadgety doohickey. Alright, now we're on to Steel. This is another map where Blue gets off of a train to try and stop Red's mission. I'd say it's pretty obvious that their main goal is to stop this bomb launch. Maybe get the information off the computers, but I don't know. Alright, we're on the final attack defense map, Sulfur. So, I think this is for the money mainly, because this is probably meant to be a public access area. I think this because there's a hot tub, signs telling the people not to go in drunk or with tattoos, and also there's this little hub over here. So I think this is just meant for like visitors to come over and relax. Also, how did we get to Asia?